Welcome to this episode of Secret Studio. My name is G, and I'm super excited about today's episode. We have Lauren D'Elia. Now, Lauren has worked with Kaytranada, and the latest album was Timeless, and many other people as well. You're a mixing engineer, a tracking engineer, you do vocal production, vocal mixing, and tons of other stuff as well. And we're going to dive into a lot today. So first of all, Lauren, I'd love to introduce you to Secret Studio. I'd love to get a little bit of an introduction to yourself as well.
For sure. I'm Lauren D'Elia. I'm a Los Angeles-based vocal producer, engineer, mixer, mastering engineer. Got my start making beats as a kid at 13, watching like YouTube videos of, you know, Pharrell and Timbaland and like Ryan Leslie like making beats, and suddenly hearing all the layers and seeing people in a studio, and I just like knew I wanted to be in that environment and a part of that, not knowing yet what my role might be. At that time I was like just making beats and like singing over those beats not well and stuff like that. And then moved to New York for school that was unrelated, and just get kind of like a communications degree or whatever. My parents were kind of wanting me to get that as like a backup degree kind of vibe, knowing that like moving to New York for that was my excuse to look for an internship at a studio. And a mutual friend of ours named Baines, the engineer.
Nice.
We met through a Craigslist ad. He was like in his mid-20s at the time, like opening a new studio in Soho with Mike Bryan and Billy Gastfield. And they like put a Craigslist ad out that I saw. I was like their first intern ever. It was just this small studio in Soho, in a mainly like residential like pre-war building, so like making our neighbors mad all the time. And so yeah, I started off as an intern at that small studio that kind of became this really amazing hub for kind of hip hop and R&B at the time in New York. It was around like 2010, 2009. And yeah, because it was a small studio, Baines really took me under his wing, and kind of I was able to sit in on sessions with him and other engineers that worked there, like Billy, and just kind of like see that process of tracking sessions and kind of being a part of that world. And I just started to love the idea of being kind of in the driver's seat in that way. And because it was a small studio, it was like I was the only intern, and quickly was able to move into taking sessions of my own. And at the time, it was a lot of really cool like producers and songwriters that were coming through the studio, so I was able to kind of get my chops up working on writing sessions and stuff like that, like writers like Diana Gordon, who's just a mainstay in like so many genres right now, and producers like Camper. I don't know if you know him.
He's awesome.
Back in kind of like the earlier stages of their careers. So I was doing that, like doing engineering sessions for them, and I started working with a lot of the female singers that would come through, and that's where like vocal production really kind of started to take course in what I did, because I really found that I loved like making artists sound how they love to sound, and giving that kind of just like that being my kind of like kind of calling in a way at that time. And then after, you know, a few years of like doing that on the New York circuit, I moved to LA, and that's kind of where things really started taking off. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm going to start a little bit about the Ryan Leslie thing, because I remember that period as well, and just seeing him do like so many things in the studio, right?
Yeah, like and it was like, and I'm sure, and like watching back now, it's like, they're like these really energetic videos. He had like such a style. There was like this one where he like, you know, it was, the whole thing was like he needed a trumpet on the track.
And he calls the place.
So he like gets one delivered, and it's like this victorious ending of the video. And no, but I really loved all those videos, because like I said, it just kind of like showed all the layers behind everything. So I started kind of like the first thing I was like really doing with Pro Tools and stuff when I was a kid was just like recreating beats and like vocals of stuff that I liked.
That's awesome. No, I'm so happy to hear that. And like, when did you realize that, you know, you wanted to kind of get into what you do now? Because you do a lot right now. It's hard to say one thing, but would you say it was when you were working as the intern, was when you started picking out, oh, I want to do this role or that role? What kind of, do you still do production now as well? Is it kind of more tracking and?
That's more of, just something I kind of do as like more my own creative self-expression.
Nice. Okay.
Like, you know, I'll co-produce with friends and other artists and stuff like that. But yeah, my main focus lately has been mainly like vocal production for different artists, whether it's like a one-off session to record a single that happens, or, you know, there's I have kind of a small roster of artists who I'm kind of their right hand if they're going to be creating music at all. And so that's kind of my main thing is like vocal producer, engineer in the recording studio, getting the kind of the vibes going in the session. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, so after that you moved to LA, and then would you say when was like your big break, or kind of like, you know, who really helped you kind of in your career and kind of move forward to the next step?
Totally. Well, it was actually pretty amazing. I mean, pretty early on into moving to LA, like within 2 weeks, or like 2 or 3 weeks of each other, I met kind of like the two people that would kind of go on to like be kind of those portals like into like a new kind of chapter. When I first moved to LA, I didn't really have a ton of like prospects. I just moved knowing that all my friends were moving there and telling me that I would probably like get a great foot in the door if I just made the move. Yeah. And like, after building a whole world for myself in New York, by the way, you know, it's like hard to make that move, but I was like the last of my New York friends to finally make the plunge and move to LA. And like I didn't have a ton of gigs just like lined up or anything. I just moved kind of with the feeling that I would figure it out. And my friend Steven at the time, and he still is actually very high up in the company there now, but he was working as an assistant at the publishing company called Pulse Music in LA. And they had two recording studios. So he was like, I could get you a gig like as a fill-in engineer. Like, you know, our guys sometimes can't handle all the sessions here. I was like, great. And that happened to be where Kaytranada was published, and another really great friend of mine named Stara, who's a massive songwriter, has done Beyonce, Rihanna, just you name it. So I met Stara very early on, like just kind of engineering her writing sessions, and like we super hit it off. So we kind of just started working a lot on her own stuff, and like she would pull me in on like artist sessions and stuff like that. And then, like I said, like within another maybe couple of weeks, met Kaytranada he was just pulling up for a session with the rapper named Buddy. And they called me. It was like a late session. I was like, I'll come. I love Kaytranada. Like I knew of 99%, that had kind of just come out. Yeah. And like I love my favorite song at the time was Girl featuring Sid. Yeah. And so I of course jumped at the chance to take that session. Nice. And you know, so that kind of like ever since then we've pretty much been working together. I've been doing pretty much all of his sessions, all his vocal production, mastering all his stuff, and really working side by side, like just being his right hand as best I can through his creative processes. And as far as Stara goes, she introduced me to a ton of artists because like her career just like super took off at the time that we were working together. And one day I get a call from her and she's like, I have a week of sessions in London with Madonna, and will you come with me? Wow. And so I of course said yes, and I expected it to be me just like tracking vocals for Stara as she's like writing songs for Madonna, and it turned into like those sessions then turned into full-on tracking sessions with Madonna's vocals, and like. And then she just, you know, after that, like, I just kept getting called out for Madonna sessions. And then we had an album. And then, like, you know, I've been working with her ever since when she works on music. But she introduced me to, as you could imagine, just like so many amazing producers like Mike Dean, Jeff Basker, Mirrorways, Billboard, Max Martin, just like so many people that I've like learned so much from in the process of that too.
Wow.
So yeah, those are like my two kind of like, I would say big, it wasn't so much like a big break. Like my whole big breaks have been like kind of more of a long culmination of relationship building.
Yeah.
And just like saying yes to the right thing at the right time.
Right. And then that's awesome, by the way. And also, you and like Kaytranada now,
Yeah.
like, how is your relationship with Kay now? Like, you said you work close side by side, right?
Yeah.
So what would be your process, let's say on Timeless, the latest album?
Yeah.
How did you go about working with Kaytranada then? And what was like the dynamic between you two?
Well, yeah, I mean, in the studio, partners in crime, it's like with his music, as you know, it's every song has a different feature on it.
Yeah.
So I try as his engineer and vocal producer to just like make things as consistent as possible in whatever situation we're in, because there's always going to be like a different artist coming in and like kind of working with that vibe and still keeping it a consistent vibe for Kay to create. And being able to create kind of a through line because throughout a project, because it's all different artists. So basically, our process is his album process is really interesting compared to some other artists in that his projects are kind of, you could look at them as more of a like an era of his life, because it'll be, rather than like I'm gonna sit down and make this concept album in a month. It's not like that with him. It's like we will have seemingly random and focused like sessions for like 3 years. You know what I mean? And then and then there comes a point where he's like, we have an album here. Like there's an album here. Like and you just have to, you just kind of like wait for that moment eventually. Like we'll have just like 2 or 3 years of like amazing collaborative sessions with artists, and sometimes those songs will be for that artist and they'll come out and stuff like that. And then but when it comes to his full-length albums, it tends to be kind of this culmination of like this era of music that he's making at the time, and there comes a point where he eventually feels like there's a body of work here.
Yep.
And then after, and like I said, all the sessions are with different people. Sometimes he'll send beats to artists and they'll send vocals back and he'll tell me to do my thing. And as far as like when he feels like there's a body of work there, this is an album, many times at that point is when I'll go back into the songs, because some of them will have been a collaboration from earlier in the process or something like that. So that's when I'll kind of go back and try to make a bit of a through line as far as vocal production is concerned anyway, on all the different tracks, and just kind of like dive in a bit deeper, knowing now that those are the songs that are going to come out. Yeah. And
then when you're working in the studio as well, like obviously you're vocal producing, how much is he involved with kind of the vocal side of things as well? Like does he give you the direction and then you work off that? Or is it kind of, how would that work as well?
Yeah, it's different. Again, it's like different every time depending on the other artist as well. And actually Kay is singing now as well on some records. Stepped on Timeless. Yep. There's a bunch in the vault. But he's getting behind the mic now. He has really amazing melody, harmony, everything ideas all the time. Yeah. So he'll, go back and forth with the artist as they're writing. We'll normally start with the beat. Like he'll cook up a beat from scratch, usually, or like remix something that, like some parts of something that they like or something like that. But I'm in charge of like tracking the artist, comping the vocal, any melodyning, any kind of sweetening. Yep. And I try to do a lot of that in the session, because many of these sessions, because it's like one artist coming in and then maybe another artist coming in, we don't have much time with them. So many times we'll get like 3 or 4 ideas with an artist in the same night. And I'm having to make something sound like a rough mix, like very quickly between the kind of like 10 minutes that they're like, let's start another song, let's cook up another one. So I try to keep that that flow really open so that everyone in the session knows, like, let's get as many ideas as you guys want to get.
Yeah.
It's it'll all sound like 90% there by the time,
Perfect. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, I love that. So you're actually going to go through your recording template now, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have a little flick through it. Maybe we start from top to bottom?
Yeah.
Or how your process is?
Yeah. I'll give a top-down view first. So this is one of the recording templates I'll take into a session with probably a female artist with Kay. This is similar to a template I've used on like Victoria Monet, Rochelle Jordan, Tinashe. It's plugin wise, it's simple because it's meant to be. I never know, like I said, like what studio I'm going to be in or what kind of situation is going to be happening or who I'm going to have to send the session off to. I'd never want to have like plug-in issues. There are a couple toys in here, but for the most part, it's stuff that I know is going to be stable in a session no matter where I am. Sometimes I'm in a hotel room. And it'll be like super transferable to whoever I'm going to send it to. As far as, I don't know, like send it to the artist in case they want to like record 2 more harmony tracks or something with like an engineer in the city that they're in now, So I like to, in the beginning processes, until I really dive in on the vocal production, I like to kind of keep this clean and stuff like that. But at the same time, as you'll see, my routing makes it really easy to, while we are in the session, be making it sound like the finished record in the artist's headphones as they're in the booth getting the parts. Top down. Normally we're going to be just importing a 2-track of whatever Kay has cooked up. And this goes for a lot, 90% of the sessions I am tracking a vocal with a 2-track.
So you would have, not having like stems or anything, it would just be straight 2-track, straight Pro Tools?
Sometimes I'll have producers separate it out into like at least like drums and music.
Yep.
But yeah, quick and dirty, sometimes we just have the 2-track. So the first thing I'll do is usually, gain it down about 8 dB. A lot of times I'll do that in the clip gain though. So that's just going into this instrumental bus, recording bus. So this is the one that'll be in the booth. My vocal chain is typically a Elam 251 or a Sony C800 going through either a 1073 or a 1081, finish off with a CL1B going into this. So usually, if the artist wants auto-tune, I'll put auto-tune. A lot of times, actually, with Kay's stuff and like the artists he works with, sometimes we don't use auto-tune at all. Sometimes we do, but like if there's certain artists who either don't use it or like something that we're working on has kind of like a detuned nature to it anyway, and they like to lean into that.
Stuff is quite experimental as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's the point of it as well.
That's the point. Yeah, exactly. So, not everything's supposed to be perfectly locked in, but when it is, I'll use auto-tune. And then I just have a little EQ after that and a little RVox bump in case just in their headphones while they're recording. Some people like really hot compression, and obviously you're not going to do that on the audio going in. So I'll do that here. Sometimes control room. Many times we'll have a scratch mic in the control room. Sometimes we'll even have the vocal mic in the control room. Like more and more, I'm noticing that artists like to record in the control room.
I learned that from Baines.
Yeah.
I was like, why is there a mic here in the room?
It seems like it started and definitely started in hip hop, and then because like I used to work with that with like Baines, with Thug and like so many other people, like Quavo works like that. But yeah, so we'll almost always have like some mic in the control room as well. Also for just scratch ideas, which will, So these will be my record tracks, these red ones, and I'll do the kind of drag and drop kind of way of doing things. So I'll kind of like, we'll be recording a take like this, and I'll be bringing it down. So this is run through. That's typically, if an artist is just like doing a lot of times they'll want to do like a one take all the way through, either in the beginning or the end. So I'll put it there. These are the leads going into the leads bus here for comping purposes. I like to name them like verse 1 or something. And then I like to create a new playlist so that it's on 1, so that take 1, when you put it in there, will stay 1, 2, 3. A lot of times artists like know by heart what takes they like when they were in the booth. So they'll say like, pull up track 1 or track 2 or take 1 or take 2 or take 4. And if you start by making a new track there, and anyway, it keeps everything lined up, numbered. So then I have my doubles. These are all already panned out and affected with, this is just what I have on right now, a little subtractive EQ, de-esser, compressor, additive EQ, and then another little compressor. For effects, I have a room, hall, plate, a space delay, which is kind of normally an echo boy.
Right.
Space delay, I just like, that's the kind of one that I'll have that's kind of just like floating in the back, like as the person's tracking vocals. And then I have ad-libs, which I like to treat in all different ways, different delays, stuff like that. But I like to give them their own bus. And then I have harmonies, pads. And these are all subject to change. But what I like about all this routing is that I have everything panned, basically, and like grouped. So, as the person's recording a song, I'm able to, like, if they're recording doubles or something, boom, boom, like everything, like as they're just going, I'm like making those decisions right there as far as like, just roughly anyway, what the panning should be. But having everything like that when you kind of work in that drag and drop way is like a really good way of kind of keeping organized. And like I said, a lot of times I have like about 10 minutes to do a rough mix. So it has to sound good, like as soon as the artist is like coming out of the booth. And like I said, much of that has to do with just like routing and organization.
Yep.
So that's backgrounds, all vocals. The dry signal goes into this, where I will have a little bit of EQ or soothe, sometimes a little top end air there. Yep. And then here's all my effects that I start with. Parallel compression, sorry. Just different reverbs, Love Valhalla reverbs, and this.
Pretty simple then.
It's very simple, and that's, like I said, like that's the point. And it's because my starting point, I like to just know what I'm doing. And like know that it's gonna be stable kind of anywhere I am. And then effects are routed through their own thing because I like to have the wet dry control like as a whole. But yeah, like I said, like super simple as far as plugins are concerned. And that's it's really not until I dive a little deeper into vocal production that I start bringing the toys out and stuff like that, like things I know I'll be able to print and stuff like that. And then for right now, there's a master bus here, but as soon as I'm going into vocal production, I'll switch that into a through aux that's going into a print line, because a lot of times I like to, as I'm working, I'll hear things and I'll like print them into audio and then like mess with that and stuff like that. But yeah, that's like my general template. I don't know if I described that very well.
No, I think that's perfect.
Okay.
I think just showing something that's like basic, I think is so good. It's not, you're not overcomplicating it.
No,
which is awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I like to start in a way that's just tight, clean. And, that's all I need anyway to get songs to like, 75%. Yeah.
No, sounds awesome. Well, look, thank you for showing us. Also want to say you're a 2-time winning Grammy winner as well, which congratulations, that's amazing. But also you're up for 2 nominations this year.
That's right.
One is for Kaytranada Timeless Best Dance Electronic Album.
That's right.
And one is Kaytranada with Childish Gambino, right?
Yeah.
Best Dance Song.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right. So let's just touch on the Grammy side of things
for
now.
sure.
How does it feel to 1, be a winner and 2, be nominated again?
Unreal, obviously. you know, one of like the main doodles I did as a kid, like not paying attention in school, was a Grammy. Yeah. Like seriously, like I knew like exactly how many little like tears are on it and stuff. Like I feel like it's been in my sights since I was 10 years old. So yeah, like winning that, and it was pretty surreal. And the year that we won for Bubba. Yep. It was like during COVID, like there wasn't a ceremony or anything. It was like all kind of like on Zoom and stuff like that. So it was surreal and also anticlimactic at the same time. But no, I mean, being honored with a Grammy is like the most amazing thing. And my win last year with Victoria Monet for Best Engineered Album was like, obviously just meant everything to me. And I read that I'm like, somehow like only the fourth woman to win that award, right after Emily Lazar, who was the last female to win it. But yeah, I'm excited to go to the Grammys this year, and I think you know, the categories that we're in have some amazing competition in them. It's like incredible to be nominated even within that group of people. And yeah, like it just is amazing to keep getting rewarded like that on the stuff that we work so hard on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I totally agree with you. And I think I was looking at the nominations yesterday as well, just kind of recap and stuff. And I was like, it's actually a lot of cool stuff this year.
So much
like,
good
that
stuff.
That person.
No,
like,
seriously.
It's amazing to see though, right?
Yeah.
So I'll do quick fire, which I didn't mention I was going to do, but I'm going to do a quick fire with you.
Okay.
So first of all, I'm going to say, what's your favorite compressor?
CL1B.
All right. Favorite EQ? Got to be quick.
I gotta be quick. Okay. I'll just say Pro Q3.
All right. Favorite delay?
Favorite delay? I don't know. It sounds so basic. Echo Boy.
Fair enough. Cool. So the last one I have is like kind of advice to someone who was in your position in New York, kind of starting out. And what advice would you give to them as the next generation?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the biggest piece of advice that I try to give people that are just starting out is to network across. And by that, I mean, like, focus on on the community around you of artists and like emerging artists and emerging producers and engineers that are going to rise with you. Like, you don't have to, like, don't think to just kind of reach for kind of what you think is like the kind of the top of the top, whatever. I just feel like when you network with the people that are also starting out and like, you know, getting to know the other engineers that are starting out and the other interns at the studios and stuff like that, everyone that's around, like that stays around, starts rising up. And like then, like before you know it, you just have all these connections that are real, genuine connections. And it's like everything's word of mouth. So it's like you have these real, genuine connections and people like linking you up with people, knowing that it's going to work out, because, you know what I mean? So I would say network across. That's like kind of like my big thing. And also just be as much of a sponge in any room that you're in ever. Like anyone who's doing anything in the room you could learn from, and that goes for the runner, the intern, the engineer, like the assistant engineer. Everyone has something to teach you. I'm always asking like interns like what their favorite plugins are at the moment, because I feel like they have ear to the ground like more than anyone. Seriously. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, just be as much of a sponge as possible and say yes to the things that scare you. You know, we all get those like kind of 3 a.m. calls or something like that of like, can you come through? And like, sometimes it'll be a random seeming session, but it'll turn out to be the thing that that is the one. Yeah. Like I said, like I got my big break by meeting friends working as a fill-in engineer somewhere, you know? So that's what I'd say.
Well, thank you, Lauren. So thank you for watching this episode of Secret Studio. Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it.